Hey everybody, Psychosaurus is here. Welcome back to H1 Plus Online. And today, yay, we're gonna continue with the units. Yay. And this time it's gonna be the ships. Yay. Okay, just a note here from my previous video about the priests. I forgot to mention, thank you for the I don't remember the name, but yeah, someone in the comment mentioned priests of Ptah are the only priests that can convert buildings. That's one thing I forgot about it. And yes, they can convert buildings in an area, okay? That's one thing I forgot to mention. Otherwise, yeah, I don't think there was anything else. Although maybe the Ravens and the Seers sharing their specific upgrade to increase the line of sight. But yeah, that's that, okay? That's a That's just a detail, but yeah, the priest of Ptah, that was a very important one. Anyway, we're gonna talk about the navy, the ships, and I would say there's still a lot of them, okay? But I'm gonna keep this a little bit shorter because there are like few units that I need to I wanna put into like some other video about units. So I'll cover them real fast and yeah, focus on the main military power of the navy. Anyway, so naval units, they are very specific that they are trained at the docks. Each ship gets one dock, and that's why you train the naval units. No other structure specific for any other ship, nothing like that. No one gets that. Although that could be interesting for like ship design, something very specific for them for the water, but whatever. Anyway, everyone gets them. Now, usually docks cost 150 wood, but there are two specific docks that actually cost more, which are the Babylonian docks, those cost 200, and the Roman docks, those also cost 200. Everyone else is 150. Now, I feel like that is one reason for why, and we'll get to that. Anyway, let's start with the first naval unit, and that's just gonna be real fast. So the fishing boats, very small fishing boats. Every ship gets one of those. They cost 100 wood. The main reason you produce them is for gathering fish. Now, of course, fishing boats can also attack. They have like pierce damage, very low. Don't expect too much damage from these small thingies because the main purpose of these is just to gather fish. But of course, if you wanna like try and build like full DPS or anything, yes, you can try that. I think Des Arch actually made a video where she did actually film with fishing boats with a very specific build, okay? But yeah, I wouldn't really recommend it. But yeah, if you wanna try it, it's very specific build. Just remember some milestones that affect villagers affect fishing boats as well. But anyway, very small units, you can see, just like, yeah, it's very small unit. That's the smallest naval unit you'll see. They have very good pierce armor, which is gonna be shared among almost all the ships. Basically very high pierce armor at 0.50. That's shared among all of those. Some basic line of sight and movement speed. Ships are usually fast, so yeah, fishing boats are also quite fast at 8 speed base. But yeah, it depends on the ship, but usually ships travel faster than land units, which is nice of them. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about these. These are not designed for fighting, these are designed for gathering fish, so whatever you use against them, it should be fine. Maybe, well, except the North Skirmisher, I guess. But yeah, there's that. There's also one specific fishing boat, which is, and this is gonna be specific for practically almost all kinds of ships, which is the sea people from the Argus quest line. And they get like one specific ship for themselves for each category. So yeah, if they get the specific fishing boats. Now the main difference here is they have slightly better gathering rate by 25% if you take a look. So they gather faster, and also they have double damage, which is interesting. But yeah, they do double damage. Also, one thing I forgot about, yeah, like I said, I'll keep this short about the fishing boats. I'll keep them for other times, but yeah, just so you know, small fishing Small boats on the water, the smallest thing. Also, I forgot to mention ships only on water. Okay, docks are specifically for water. So yeah, these are these units are only on water. They cannot enter the land. You can try, but they won't enter the land. Although there were like few bugs, them getting stuck in the land. I saw that for myself. Like, but yeah, that can happen. But anyway, that's all about the fishing boats. I need to keep these shorter, goddamn, because like getting to 50 minutes length, like, yeah, that's not healthy for me. For me. Anyway, moving on, and this one is also gonna be short, hopefully. The merchant transports. Now these are slightly larger than the fishing boats. They are more like medium-sized ships. How do you recognize them? Basically, there is some form of like, yeah, let's say some, what would be the word? Goddamn. Some kind of house or tent or whatever where people can like go and sleep and rest or whatever. Okay, that's how I'm gonna say it. Basically, very small, one sail. These cost 150 wood each. They are very specific. Every ship gets one. The main purpose of these units, there are two, which is transporting units. Usually you will see like this, some flag above them when they are loaded with units. So yeah, or garrisoned with units. So yeah, you should focus those so the enemy transports don't drop off their units and start attacking you where you might not like it. So yeah, be careful of those. But anyway, they are not like super tough, although yeah, 600 health. Okay, from land units they will not die that easily, but from towers, yeah, they can take quite some damage and die pretty fast. But yeah, still they can last a little bit. So careful with those and try to focus them so they don't drop off those units. Anyway, like I said, for transporting, the other purpose is being trading. These basically work as caravans on water, so you can trade with one dock and then they will travel to the other dock, not with TC and not between TC and market, but between two docks. So yeah, if you want maximum trade, better try to put the docks as far away from each other as possible. And then they will luckily it's smart, okay, that the transports will try to trade with the, if you send them to this dock, they'll try to find the dock that's the farthest away, okay, and drop off the gold there, and then that's where the trade will be. Anyway, yeah, try to keep it short. One specific, okay, the sea people also get one, which has higher damage than the typical fishing merchant transport, and otherwise, as you can see, the high pierce armor is there as well. These are slower than your typical ships, as you can see, 6 base movement speed, which is like land unit, but for water, yes, they are slow. So if you have some fighting ships nearby, you can catch up and try to destroy them before they drop off those units. Other than that, yeah, they can fight as well. Funny thing, although they are like the fishing boats considered to be a civ unit or villager unit, because they still work like caravans. Caravans are also like villager unit, okay? So they should be like villager unit. This is actually, they actually get affected by armory upgrades. So yes, you can actually upgrade their pierce armor so they don't take too much damage from towers, let's say. So there's that. Anyway, base damage 20 DPS. The sea people has it higher at 32. Other than that, yeah, it's pretty much the same. Okay, slightly more expensive for the sea people, but yeah, you don't really care because you cannot train it for yourself. Could be interesting quest where you play as the sea people. Ooh, nice idea. Other than that, yeah, I don't think there's anything else needed to say. One specific, it's the Celtic transport, and it's the only transport that actually gets an upgrade to increase the carry capacity. Usually you can load 16 units into one merchant transport. In this case, Celts can get an upgrade, which is quite cheap actually. It's like 150 gold, I think, to actually increase the capacity to 24 units. And that's gonna be it. Anyway, I forgot. Yeah, fishing boats are available H1, transports H2. Now let's get to the military units, which is the main thing we are about here. And I was thinking, how do I take this? Because there is a number of those units. So while we have the merchant transport in mind, I'll try to move into the aeroships, and you'll soon get why. So yeah, let me rotate this for this time. So once you reach the Bronze Age, or H2 as you prefer, you'll get access to your first combat ship that you can use in battle against the enemy, and those are the arrow ships. Now there are few groups that I want to discuss, but the basic ones are like triremes for the Greeks and Egyptians, galleys for the Persians, and the swan ships for the Celts. So that will be the first group. Basically, these units are quite expensive. Okay, they cost a lot of resources, and also take quite a space. Okay, one of these is taking 3 population space. If you take a look, you can see 250 resources and 3 population. Galleys are slightly different, and swan ships are slightly different. Galleys cost slightly more wood, but a lot less gold. As you can see, 25 more wood and 100 less gold than 50 less gold than trireme. I thought 150 for some reason. Okay, but yeah, it's slightly cheaper, but as you can see, at a cost of health. Okay, so if you take a look, yes, the health of a galley is slightly lower. And swan ship is the most expensive one. It costs actually 50 wood more than the trireme. But what you get for it is higher damage and higher health. As you can see, it's quite higher, okay? There's that. Other than that, yeah, these ships get very high pierce armor in general, so 0.50. So basically great against each other when they are already reducing half of their damage, which is perfect. By the way, I would say these are ideal at killing land units. That would be probably the best usage I can think of, and then supporting your fire ships or ram ships at the front, which are taking the damage, so you have like these behind them doing the damage from the distance. So support that. Other than that, yeah, killing land units, as I said, or structures that are a little bit further into the land, so you don't have those that your ram ships or fire ships cannot reach, you can destroy with the arrow ships here. Other than that, yeah, if you take a look, these are very fast. Swan ships are also faster. Ooh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that. So swan ships are slightly faster, which is interesting. Now, why swan ships are stronger? Because Celts get only swan ships, okay? After you get swan ships, you have nothing. So Celts on water kind of have it hard after H3, okay? But yeah, very high pierce armor, pretty fast. As I said, they can catch up with the merchant transports quite nicely. Now, specific one, again, for the sea people, they have their flagship, which you can see like few. Usually they have triremes, okay? But flagships are like very specific, which you need to destroy for a global quest that will give you a decoration of the flagship for yourself, which used to be a very huge ship, okay, in your capital city, but yeah, it got a little bit smaller after the change. So other than that, yeah, as you can see, it has higher health than all the others, but also it is more expensive for the sea people. Higher range, as you can see, higher damage, but there is no armor, so it is squishy actually. So while it has like a lot of health, it's actually officially having like 500 health with 0.5 pierce armor, so it's squishier than the galley itself, which is funny. But yeah, so overall I would say higher damage, higher range, which makes it more dangerous from behind. But other than that, yeah, it's very squishy, so that's that. Anyway, similar to these, and I need to mention this, Vimanas and Longship. Let's start with the Vimana. If you take a look at the stats, it's actually the same thing as trireme, okay? That's not the point. The difference between Vimana and triremes and the others is that I should have put this. Okay, I should have put this into other group. I forgot. Swanship is also a specific one in this case. But yeah, Vimana is actually getting different champion upgrade than these three. Okay, not Swanships. Sorry, I'm sorry for my mistake. But anyway, I forgot about it. Whatever. But Vimana is actually getting different champion upgrade. These are getting higher movement speed and higher attack range, and quite good numbers. Vimanas are getting damage from the champion upgrade. That's the whole difference, okay? There is nothing else worth mentioning. Now, we have the longships, and basically, longships are the same thing as Vimanas. They also get champion upgrade from... they also get damage from their champion upgrade. There. Now, why did I put them into a different group? The thing is, and this is why I mentioned the merchant transports, longships are the only arrow ships that actually have the ability to garrison units inside and be used as a transport. So that's the Norse advantage. You don't need to train the merchant transport for transporting units. No, you train a longship, and because longships are faster than the merchant transports, yes, this is a lot better transport. Now, obviously, it's more expensive. So there's a disadvantage, but hey, you can use it in combat and transport your units faster. Very useful, okay. And that's all gonna be about the longship, and now the swanship. Yes, I'm sorry I put it into the same group, but no, it's very specific. Let me move it over here. Swanships are slightly different. They also have different champion upgrade, which gives them a lot of health, plus 50%, and the reason is why they get so much health is Celts are getting the only swanships for fighting on water, which makes them, yeah, it kind of sucks after age 3 for Celts, because hey, other ships get some cool ships to fight the other ships, so yeah, it makes it harder for Celts. So higher health, yeah, that should help the swanship. That's the whole difference. Otherwise, yeah, it's super strong. That's why it's so strong in comparison to the other arrow ships. And now final ones, which are the Biremes and Liburnians, and these are the same. So their champion upgrade is the same as the Trireme galley and the Egyptian Trireme. What's their difference? These are actually slightly smaller and slightly cheaper than these. The thing is, these actually take 2 population space, okay? If you take a look, 2 population space. It's slightly cheaper, but still very expensive. And I dare to say, a lot more expensive to train these than the triremes. Now, they are cheaper, so it makes it easier for you to quickly build up these and then just fight the enemy. Remember, the arrow ships projectiles are actually hitting the ground. They are not hitting the target directly, like let's say with the Toxodes or the, let's say, Gastraphedes. But it behaves as with the elephant archers, where they are hitting the ground, okay? And when they are hitting the ground, that means, hey, they are actually trying to predict where the target is going to be. So they will hit the ground where the target is gonna be, but if the target changes direction in which it's moving, well, suddenly, hey, you dodged the damage. And yeah, which means, hey, so if you can get your Liburnian out sooner to fight the enemy arrow ships, so in quest you can actually use this, and your Liburnians, while they are still expensive, hey, they are slightly cheaper, you can get them out faster and fight the enemy arrow ships for a lower cost. So yeah, it's an advantage. Now the thing is, as I said, the Babylonians and Romans get more expensive dogs, and yes, they have these two actually. So the first Liburnian and Bireme might not be that cheap as the first Trireme, but as you keep producing more, it's becoming better for you in that case. So yeah, you need to train at least 2 of those to actually get advantage. Before that, yeah, Triremes, oh, they're still there. So you get them at the same time, roughly. But yeah, for late game, yes, you can get a lot of these because, hey, 1/3 lower population means, hey, I can have like, what is it, like 50% more? If I, let me count, okay. If I have 50, there would be 150 population. But if I had like 2 pop, there would be 75 to reach the, yeah, so 50%, which means, yeah, you can have 50% more of these, but at the same time, they are still quite expensive. Remember, this is 110 resources per pop, okay? While these are like a little over 80 resources per pop, okay? So these are quite expensive, so full army of these is gonna cost you a lot more. Now, advantages, disadvantages, obviously, slightly lower health, slightly lower damage, but hey, you can have 50% more of these. So yeah, if you can get like 50% more of these to fight these, it's gonna be your advantage. You will obviously have much higher damage, much higher health, but at the same time, it's gonna cost you more, so careful with that. Anyway, other than that, it's basically the same thing. Okay, I hope that's everything. Did not forget anything. Yeah, I hope so. I don't think I forgot anything. Transport is there on the long ship. Okay, let's move on to the Silver Age Navy, which is, I believe it's called the anti-ship ships, I guess would be the perfect way to call these. And here we have 2 groups actually, and these are gonna be easier. Let's start with my favorites. Okay, fire ships. In my opinion, fire ships are probably the best naval unit that you can use because, hey, they can obliterate the enemy navy quite fast, and then you just get there, destroy the docks. And yeah, then it depends. If you have the siege boats can take care of the land base. If you don't, well, sometimes you just have to build transports and get your land units there. Anyway, fire ships, I would say, as I said, Silver Age units. How do you recognize these? I didn't mention it with the arrow ships. Basically, if you don't see the house, usually it's gonna be the arrow ship. What is it? Yeah, okay, if the house is at the back of the ship, that means you have it at the back, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so if you have the house at the back, that's the transport. If you have it like at the center or none, that's usually the arrow ship. Fire ships, hey, there's a fire, okay? The ship is not on fire. You'll never see ship on fire unless it's a fire ship, because they are throwing fire at you, okay? Now, fire ships, one good thing about them is they are doing crush damage with some bonus against Navy. Now, why is it good? As you could see, ships usually don't have crush armor. Exactly, they have only the pierce armor, which means, hey, while fire ships have the high pierce armor, taking reduced damage from the arrow ships, they actually do crush damage, and pretty high, as you can see, 40 base DPS. With 2 times bonus versus ships. So while the enemy ships, let's say the trireme, is doing like 25 DPS officially, the fire ships will do 80. So while fire ships have slightly lower health, they will actually obliterate the enemy arrow ships with their super high crush damage against them. Now, they have a few disadvantages, of course. But yeah, also notice fire ships are cheaper, okay? Like 50 units cheaper than trireme. That's actually pretty good. So they are cheaper, they are more dangerous with the higher damage. Their health is slightly lower, okay? But with the brutal damage you're doing, hey, the lower health doesn't matter that much. Now, of course, they need to get close. So 10 range in comparison to 26, was it? Yes. So much shorter attack range gives them this advantage, but hey, it actually means you can attack structures and units that are a little bit more into the land. Not only the dogs, but like, let's say, tower over here, yeah, you can attack it with a fire ship, and because they are doing crush damage, they'll do the full damage of 40 DPS to the building. So that's good for them. So yes, they are great against navy, they are okay against buildings. Against units, depends on the unit, but usually because you need to get closer means, hey, they will get attacked by the enemy. Ranged units, towers, fortresses, yeah, that's not ideal. So against units, I would say depends on the situation and what unit you're fighting with. Other than that, yeah, not really recommended. Anyway, super high piece armor is there, very high speed, so it can catch up with the arrow ships quite easily. Even the swan ship is slower. And their champion upgrade actually makes them even beefier. Now, in normal quests, you will not really notice it unless you're dealing with enemy fire ships, enemy ramp ships, towers, and fortresses, because those do bonus damage, and the fire ships are getting 100% bonus damage protection. Now, obviously, this makes them perfect for the legendary quest, because guess what? I was talking about it a few times already. The elite units bonus damage, they are getting the 120% extra for the elite status, is actually being reduced by bonus damage protection, which means, hey, fire ships perfect for legendary quests and elite quests, of course. But yeah, most importantly, the legendary quests. So when you're fighting the enemy navy, fire ships with the champion upgrade are perfect. And of course, when there are towers and fortresses, again, the bonus edge protection helps against those. So fire ships in H4, super great. So yes, fire ships, you should definitely try using those. What would be the counter to fire ships? Your own fire ships, of course. Because hey, you can take reduced damage with the bonus damage protection. You can kill them. Other than that, yeah, careful around fire ships. But yeah, since their range is short, usually you won't see like super high big armies with fire ships, but you can still dodge their projectiles. Okay, so try to dodge their projectiles as much as you can, just like with the arrow ships. Okay, so that's one way you can fight them. Other than that, yeah, bonus edge protection with your own fire ships, and try to obliterate them before they obliterate you. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, dodge. Okay, keep microing those naval units. That's gonna be important in naval battles. Keep microing so you can dodge the enemy fire ships, arrow ships, and don't take too much damage. Now there is the second anti-ship ship, and those are the ram ships. Now those, you will recognize there is some form of ram head on the front, although with the Babylonian one it's a little bit hard to tell like this, but maybe with the different variants, maybe in the epic one, I don't know. Can I let me see, can I like change it? Is it animation model variant? Let's see. Yeah, you can see some form of frame head. Okay, so it's changing. Let's see, can I? Yeah, Babylonians have it slightly weird. Whatever. So ram ships, those are, I believe, slightly more expensive than the ram ships. They are slower. Now the thing is, these are actually melee naval units. They need to get into the melee range to start attacking. And the thing is, these actually cannot attack land units. They can attack buildings. They can attack the ships, but they cannot attack the land units there, which is kind of bad about them. And so you need some other way to deal with the land bases, either with your arrow ships or siege boats if you have those. Otherwise, yeah, you need to build transports and transport your units. Anyway, so let's take a look at the numbers. Okay, so if you take a look at the cost, it's the same as the trireme. They have very high health, like 900 health in comparison to 750 of the trireme. They deal crush damage, which is important, so similar to the fire ships. That's the thing they have in common. They do crush damage. They have bonus versus ships. Now if we take a look, this was 80 DPS against ship. Now here it is what, 2.5 times, which is 75. So it's more health with slightly lower damage against ships. And if you're fighting with the fire ships that have the champion upgrade, yeah, this is kind of bad. Okay, so ram ships versus fire ships have quite a disadvantage because the bonus damage protection helps the fire ships too much against these. But other than that, yeah, against the other navy you will be completely fine. They also have bonus versus buildings. Now most likely you will use it against dogs and some random building around, but the important thing is, hey, if you want to destroy dogs real fast, they can do it. Still like 75 DPS, which is definitely faster than what the fire ships do. But hey, this is melee range versus some range. Okay, so it's kind of a disadvantage as well, but I guess it's gonna be slightly better for the ram ships in this case. Now here's one big advantage, and this was actually changed, and I still hate it that it's made this way. Okay, their pierce armor is 0.70, and I swear I hate it so much that it happened. They just get it by default. Okay, like you reach H3, again these are available H3, the silver age, and you already have these with 0.70 pierce armor, which is, if you had the arrow ship and you gave it full armory upgrades for the pierce armor, this is almost the same value. Like, that's so insane to me, like, that it happened. In my opinion, I would be okay with this if this was the case only for the champion ram ships, okay? Because I feel like the champion upgrade is like quite weak, because what it does is, I think there is a movement speed if I'm not mistaken. But most importantly, there is bonus versus buildings. Bonus damage versus buildings, which I'm like, yeah, okay, I can destroy buildings, but I'll destroy like dogs faster. And I am already destroying them quite fast with the bonus they already have. I don't see a reason why they should be destroying buildings even faster than that. In my opinion, what should have happened was change the champion upgrade from granting extra bonus damage versus buildings to grant extra pierce armor, so you can actually use them against the arrow ships. Maybe with small bonus to crush armor as well, I guess could be possible, but that would be probably too much, because it depends if we want like the ram ships to be weak against the fire ships or somewhat better against fire ships. But yeah, I would change the bonus versus buildings to the pierce armor to get closer to the 0.70. Not like this when you just give it to them. Like, come on. Naval units as Babylonian, as Persians versus, let's say, Celts. Like, man, that has to be insane. Like, you get Silver Age, Babylon, Persia versus Celts with their swan ships right there. That just feels so unfair to me. I don't know how about you. I would get it if it was H4, okay? But H3 from the get-go? Come on. That feels just so unfair to Celts. I mean, just imagine. You either have the fire ships that do so much damage to the swan ships, or you have the ram ships that just soak so much pierce damage from the swan ships that it's so insane. Yeah, poor Celts. Like, let's be honest. That's so not nice against Celts. Like I said, I would prefer it in their champion upgrade than just from the get-go. Anyway, that's the critique I always have against these. Anyway, these are faster than land units, but as you can see, a lot slower, and even slower than the arrow ships. So hey, you can run away from these. which is a nice thing, but don't expect you killing them super fast, okay? You will need a number of arrow ships to actually deal with these. But yeah, other than that, ram ships, really strong against arrow ships, and I hate it, they just get it. But whatever, it is what it is now. Other than that, yeah, I guess I have nothing else to say. They are slower, so try to run away from them. They don't catch up. And micro units again. Here we go. Micro units, like most of your naval units are faster than the ram ships, so try to outrun them. If you see champion ram ships, that can be harder. Okay, I get that. But if you just see normal ram ships, run away and micro your units. Anyway, let's move on to the, I would say, last group, but there's gonna be one specific one, and those are the siege boats, I would describe as, or siege ships. Basically, long range siege ships that you use against buildings, or maybe against, let's say, ranged units and enemy siege units. But you can use them in naval combat as well. So these are basically only three, which is for the Greeks with their ballista triremes, Egyptians with their catapult triremes, and then mangonel galleys for the Persians. Now, how do you recognize them? There is some siege at the front of the ship. You can see these have ballistas, these have catapults, and these have, yeah, it's like mangonel, but Persians don't have mangonels. So yeah, some form of catapult, I would say, as well. So the thing about these is they are available in Golden Age. So yeah, super late game stuff. They are quite expensive, okay? 200 wood, 150 gold for one of these with 4 population. Yeah, they are quite expensive. And at the same time, you want to be careful because they are squishier than your typical ship, okay? These are the only ships that actually get only 0.3 pierce armor, as you can see. Now, yeah, 610 health is still pretty good, but for a 4-pop unit with this with lower pierce armor, you want to be careful with these. These are not like, hey, I'm at the front soaking all of the damage. Yeah, that's not the case. You need to keep them away from the battle. They are a lot squishier than the others. And can you imagine the fire ships coming in? Yeah, burn, baby, burn. They're gonna die real fast, okay? So careful with those. You wanna keep them at the back with some front line, whether it is your own fire ships or ram ships or the arrow ships, those at the front. Yeah, just try to protect them as much as you can. You don't want them to take the damage. Anyway, they are doing the crush damage with a big bonus versus buildings, I would say. 4 times. That's pretty big. Now they do crush damage, which means, hey, you can use them to fight the other navy as well. Now obviously it's not as great as with the fire ships or ram ships, but still, hey, if you can like attack from distance to grant a little bit of support with the DPS against enemy naval force, yeah, they can do that job quite nicely. And with their huge range of 48, like that's a huge range, okay? It's not on the level of Panitron, which is, I believe, 55, if I remember correctly. But it is, I think it's higher than the throwers, right? I think it's slightly higher than the throwers have. Anyway, yeah, very long range, so try to keep them at the back, which should be easy for you when you have them, because they have that huge range. So you can use them to support your arrow ships or fire ships or ram ships when fighting the enemy navy. And yeah, you bombarding buildings should be very, very easy for these, and destroying them quite fast, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem either. So yeah, against towers, fortresses, if you focus those, so your other naval units can get closer and start dealing with the land units, and then you can use these to actually bombard, let's say, TCs or military production buildings, and then drop your units there and destroy the rest that you cannot reach with these. Yeah, that can be that. Anyway, as you can see, they can also see far, like 53 line of sight. That's huge, okay? That's really huge. So you can use them for scouting. They are slightly faster than your typical land unit, as you can see, 8 base movement speed, but as we could see, it's slower than all the others, even the ram ship. While ram ship is definitely slow, it's not as slow as these, okay, as the siege ships. So careful with that. Once the enemy gets too close, it can be very difficult to run away. So again, be careful. Also, splash damage, which is nice. Hey, when you're trying to do a lot of damage to the land units that you're trying to bomb with these, if you have no other target, yeah, that's very nice. It can help. Or you can just snipe villagers with these. That can work as well. So yeah, great support. I think if you have access to those, you should use them. And yeah, keep them protected. That's all I have to say. Like, whatever gets close, yeah, it can deal with it quite nicely, as this is not designed to fight directly with the enemy naval units, but it can be used as a support, as some extra damage source, okay? Other than that, yeah, use them against buildings from the distance. Keep them protected. That's all you need to know. Now, obviously, sea people also get these specific ones for themselves. The catapult ship, if you take a look, for some reason, I don't know why, instead of the 0.3 PS armor, they get 0.5 melee infantry armor. I honestly don't remember, like, when you see these. I feel like you see them during a normal naval quest. I don't remember there being like some water island in the land where it would be like imprisoned so you could attack it with melee units. I don't know why, okay? It just has melee infantry armor, which usually, yeah, naval units don't really need those that much. Other than that, yeah, I think this is higher damage, lower health, and slightly lower splash damage area, okay? It's not 3, it's 2 only. But yeah, higher damage, so yeah, it can hurt a little bit more, but at the same time, it's a lot squishier, okay? So you should be able to take it out, with your own arrow ships, your fire ships, and it's gonna be definitely a lot faster than with the normal ballista trireme. So yeah, there's that. And we are moving on to the final one, which I kept for last because goddamn, this is gonna be very specific unit and very specific scenario. Anyway, let me like do this so I can have the video miniature. Oh boy. Anyway, last one, which is the specific one, very specific one, Roman Eneris. And I'm still gonna complain, like, Romans having this unit, okay? And this is a very specific one, as this is H3, so it's the same as the fire ships and ram ships, and the purpose is basically the same: try to destroy the enemy navy real fast, okay? The thing is, and you cannot really see it here, in H4 this becomes the siege ship as well. It will grant the attack against buildings. That is basically, let's say you have your ballista trireme on your Eneris, which means, hey, they can attack buildings from a long distance. Now it's not against the normal units, it's only against buildings, so there's that. But yeah, they can work as a siege boat, and you can actually siege the enemy base with these quite easy after their champion upgrade. Now, why did I put it here as well is this unit actually behaves as an arrow ship. What do I mean is, it's using basically the same kind of projectiles. Hey, it's like arrows. Although those are not arrows, those are more like those ballista bolts or whatever that is. But it basically works the same as with Trideme, okay? It's the same projectiles. And also the same range, which is huge, okay? The thing is, they do crush damage, like the fire ships or ramp ships, which is super huge, okay? So let's take a look at those stats. So 175 wood, 125 gold. Okay, they are more expensive than Trideme, okay? 25 more, okay? But it's still free pop. Okay, 700 health, okay, but you have the 0.5 pierce armor, so just like any other ship. Crush DPS, 27 DPS. Now, obviously, it's lower than the ramp ships or the fire ships, but you have the 3 times bonus versus ships. 3 times, which means that's 81 DPS against ships. 81 DPS. That's higher than the fire ship by 1 DPS. Sure, it's 1 DPS, but you have to realize 26 attack range, just like the arrow ships. Okay, so this ship is actually doing more damage to ships than fire ship. It has more health slightly. It is fast at 12 speed, just like the fire ship. It has the range of an arrow ship, and it also has splash damage, okay? Yes. That's so... Whew. It is like one of the strongest ships, and I'll keep saying this is the strongest ship in the game, okay? When you play as Romans and you get access to this, naval quests are the easiest when playing as Romans. The easiest. Just because they have enemies. And you can use it as fire ships, you can use it as the siege ships, and you can use it as arrow ships. All at the same time. This is all in one. While being the strongest. This is like, oh my god, the best unit you can get. Now, as you can see, there is also like the bonus versus buildings and attack range. Yeah, that's for the siege attack, okay? So the siege attack is doing the same DPS, if I remember. I think it used to be like different, but now it's the same value, if I'm not mistaken. So it should be like 27 used against buildings. Their normal attack is not doing extra damage to buildings, but the siege attack is doing 2.5 times damage against buildings. With the 48 range, so same as the siege ships, with the splash damage area, which is actually funny. So you can actually hurt enemy units around the building with this attack, okay? So there's that. Other than that, yeah, pierce armor is there, as I said. Line of sight, sure, it shows 30, but remember, after the champion upgrade, they get even higher line of sight, which, if I'm not mistaken, is plus 75%. 3/4. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, that's 22.5 extra, so it should be on the same level. Yeah, it should be on the same level as the siege ships. Almost. So yeah, you also get the line of sight of the siege ships. And with the higher speed, like, come on. Yeah, this unit is just super OP, if you ask me. Like, on the water battles, when you're playing as Romans, I don't care what you say. This ship is just super broken, okay? I could do any quest with this ship and it would be like the easiest time. Like, can you imagine 5 oases in 20 minutes? Yes, with this ship, possible. I bet. Mona with Romans? Yes, 20 minutes. Also would believe that. If Heavy Rain got into it, yes, I would believe that. Totally possible. This ship is just super OP, god damn it. Like, I still don't get it. Why is it having like such great stats to this day? Like, no joke, like, okay, it can be there, but come on, like, this strong, better than fire ship, better than... I mean, okay, it does not have that high damage as the as the siege ship by default, but because you can have more of these because of the lower pop and they are cheaper, like yeah, who cares that you don't get a high bonus? You can have more of these and catch up quite nicely and still do better job than arrow ships. Like, come on. Like, okay, you might not kill land units that fast. I'll agree with that. Okay, you will not have to kill land units that fast, but hey, you don't have to spend resources on the pierce damage upgrades at the armory. No, this is crush damage. So all you need is like pierce armor and that's it. Okay, super strong. And also this is true for the fire ships as well and ram ships. But yeah, and it is super strong, super broken. What you can do about it? Yeah, against AI you can fight against it. Okay, Jesus, don't remind me the first days of Romans. Like, god damn, that was, oh my god, the nightmare of Eneris. that was not nice. Oh my god, that was impossible to fight. You can still dodge their projectiles, okay? If you dodge their projectiles, which is something you should do it, okay? Of course, fire ships can take some of their damage thanks to the bonus damage protection, so the bonus, it's not hurting them that much, and it's definitely higher bonus than of the ram ship, so yeah, definitely the best thing you can do is use your own fire ships if you have those. Other than that, yeah, again, keep microing your naval units. Dodge the projectiles. And I guess that's gonna be all for me. Yeah, if you take a look, yeah, it looks like arrow ship once you see the siege weapon at the front. It's going to be there, but yeah, for the Romans, it's definitely looking like trireme, okay? If it looks like trireme and you're against Romans, yes, that's Eneris, okay? Careful with that. Anyway, I hope I said everything, and it is super OP. Please nerf. But yeah, other than that, hope you enjoyed this. I'll cover the fishing boats and merchant transports in the other video as well, just to remind you, but I'll talk about them with more about the economics and like they can do for your economy and such, okay? But yeah, arrow ships we covered, fire ships, ram ships, siege boats, and that is okay. We're done. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please press the like button. If you want to see more like this videos, okay, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Did I forget something? Maybe I did. I'm not remembering right now, but there's not much to forget about, hopefully. But yeah, any questions, yeah, just leave a comment below. And yeah, that's all from me. That's all from me for now. I'll see you next time. Bye.